The next 2 hours, go where every sports fan wants to go. Behind the scenes and into the practice facilities, locker rooms, coaches' offices, and press boxes to get the info before anyone else. This is the ESPN 1320 Insiders.
Oh, good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. It's the best day of the week. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jesse Tapia rocking with us today. If I sound a little strange, it's because I'm still at the home studio. I'm trying not to get people sick. But again, James, this illness refuses to be anything. It's just a preseason ass illness, man. Like a bunch of third string symptoms. Like clearly not ready for prime time. So we're just hanging out.
It just keeps dragging you back in, Kyle. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I don't even feel. I don't even like. Typically, though, when I'm ill, I'm out. Like, I'm going to sit on the couch and I'm going to watch movies and that's going to be it. I can't exercise. Like, I can't like do a workout because there's a little chest congestion, but it's like, I'm not down for the count. I can move around, go outside, I can do some stuff around the house. So I can't even be totally taken. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. At least you're mobile, and at least we have the option now to do things like this, where you stay at home and you keep everybody like you don't get anybody else sick, and I don't have to worry about missing time. And although chances are I'll get it from somebody else, it seems like it's going around everywhere. And you know, we've got Kings games coming up, so can't imagine being around 18,000 people and not getting a little bit sick for the holiday. I mean, for the early year here.
Yeah, I got to lock in. All right, so we've got some news this morning in the NBA. Victor Wembanyama, scary. I don't even want to call it an injury. Scary illness, I guess. I don't know exactly, but he has deep vein thrombosis in his shoulder, and he is out for the year.
It's absolutely not good. A deep vein thrombosis in the shoulder. Just going through, and there's a lot of different types of deep vein thrombosis. As somebody who's had blood clots, like in my legs, or my left leg, like, you know, it's scary because all of a sudden you have like weird stuff happening, like sharp pains, and then you're worried about it, you know, breaking loose and finding its way to your lungs, finding its way to your heart,
it can kill you.
Yeah, bad things can happen, right? There's a lot of like just like going through some of the, you know, the medical things online. Schroeder syndrome is a rare type of DVT that occurs when muscles squeeze in the vein in the shoulder. It's common in young, healthy people who play sports and use their upper arms. So I'm going to guess that that's what we're talking about. Exactly. And there is a deep vein in the shoulder. It's you know, again, the body's a magical place, a mysterious place. And yeah, I think everybody should be slightly concerned here, but you know, they got it early. He came back from All-Star weekend. Sounds like he was having some sort of discomfort, and they went in like, as long as it's not a reoccurring issue, which is something that we've seen from people like Chris Bosh, who all of a sudden started having blood clotting disorders, and that's not a good thing at all. So I would be definitely concerned, but also like we're talking about a 7'4" human being with like a 8 something wingspan. Like the human body is not typically built like this, and so like there's always a possibility for some strange things.
It's kind of wild because I've been watching that Court of Gold documentary on Netflix, and the access to that, you really get a good feel for how enormous Victor Wembanyama is. And so my wife and I have been talking about like, oh my God, look at how much taller he is than Rudy Gobert, who's 7 feet tall. Look at him tower over Boris Diaw, who's like 6'8", right? So we kind of went into that and all the like just potential like health things that come with being 7'4" or 5 or whatever he is. So hopefully, like you said, hopefully this is just a blip on the radar for him. They get it cleared out, and he's good to go for next year. And that's certainly the hope. The less important layer of this, the on-court layer of it, is that I think we can take the Spurs out of any potential talk of a top 10 seed in the West.
Oh, I agree 100%. Without Victor Wembanyama, this changes everything. And like I know it doesn't really matter because we're more concerned about Wembanyama's long-term health
Sure,
and
sure.
actually short-term health. I mean, that's I think a bigger issue.
Mhm.
They'll put him on blood thinners, and they'll keep a really close eye on it, but they'll be able to track it using just basic ultrasound stuff. They'll be able to track where it's at, and they'll
Mhm.
be able to like completely keep an eye on whether it's moving or not. And then the quicker blood thinners kick in and break it up, the better.
Sure.
But then you got to clear blood thinners out of your system. You got to know why this happened.
Mhm.
But I think what this does really is it even opens up the defensive player of the year and other things. We talk about this all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time. Like, he's going to miss 27 games here, and or whatever it is. Well, they're 52 games on the season, so he's going to miss the final 30 games of the season, which
Man.
of course makes him ineligible for all postseason awards. Really a bummer for everybody involved. And like, look, I think everybody who watches basketball, like, you should be pulling for Victor Wembanyama to be incredible. Like, this is something that we don't get to see all the time. Like a player who's built like this, a player who has a skill set like this, and whether he's on your team or he's on another team, you should at least be pulling for the NBA and for a kid like this to be great.
Yep.
So you have stars, to
Yep.
watch. And for me, like standing courtside while Victor Wembanyama comes out and does his warm-ups, you're just like in awe. Like,
Yeah.
he is so incredibly huge.
Yep.
Like,
And
I mean,
skilled.
oh
Like
yeah,
he's that because we talked about that. We brought up like Roy Hibbert and Hashim Thabit and guys like Taco Fall. Like we've seen like massive tall humans in the NBA before, but nobody quite like Victor Wembanyama. And the thing that I love the most about him is like last year when he was going through his rookie season and
mhm,
everybody's like, wow, hey, you're averaging this or you're doing this or, trying to celebrate him. And he's like, we're losing. I don't care.
yeah,
Like I came here. He just like, he has that mindset, that like psychopath, like I'm going to dominate everything mindset in a 7'5", 21-year-old body who can dribble and shoot and play defense.
yeah.
So
And I think one thing we should also note is like this is a kid that they have taken a very, very like holistic approach to his training throughout his life.
yep.
Um, they've known from the time he was very young that he was going to be a special talent and that he was going to be tremendously huge,
Yep.
right? And so, like, there was a point where, like, coming into the league, he had never lifted weights before.
Yep.
And so these are things where they're slowly bringing him on. They've worked on flexibility, they've worked on mobility, they've done a lot of like plyometric training and stuff like that. But what they didn't do is sit there and try to bulk this kid up before his body was ready for it. And
Yeah.
it's really interesting to see how he'll like sort of develop throughout his NBA career. But this is one of those scary things that you just don't want to see happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So hoping he's okay. And obviously any news that comes out of the Victor Wembanyama deep vein thrombosis, we'll bring it to you.
Yes.
Other NBA news, Bobby Portis is suspended for 25 games for using a banned substance. Apparently he took tramadol instead of Toradol. Um, I guess they're both painkillers, but tramadol is on the banned list because it's an opioid. And according to The Athletic, Portis's assistant I'm sorry, let me back this up. Portis's assistant gave him tramadol, thinking it was Toradol, like just getting the names confused, because Portis had been taking Toradol for an elbow injury, and Toradol is
Okay.
just a really strong like painkiller, and so it's unclear whether, because there was a prescription for this tramadol, somebody had the prescription, whether that was Bobby Portis or the assistant, we don't know. But either way, Bobby Portis is suspended for 25 games for taking this banned substance.
Yeah. So again, these are because I have a history of back problems. When I have a major blow up with my back, I'll go in and I'll get a Toradol shot. It's not an opioid. It's a massive anti-inflammatory. It's like 800 milligram ibuprofen on steroids.
It is
And
like super soldier serum.
Yeah, it like breaks stuff down very quickly, but it's something that number one is usually in shot form, and if they do pill form, it's like you get a couple of pills after a surgery to try to keep the inflammation down. So
Mhm.
to have any of this around your house is kind of weird, especially to have one that is a banned substance. Anything with that has an opioid label on it is going to be a banned substance in the NBA. That's just the way they roll. And the NBA has very strict rules, which we've seen play out in weird moments. Like there are like 4 drugs that if you do take, you get an automatic 25, and if you take them again, you get an automatic like year-long suspension or lifetime ban.
Mhm.
We've even seen it with Tyreek Evans, lifetime ban from the NBA. He
Yeah.
was uh, allowed back in after I think 2 years, but at that point, like he was older and wasn't able to make a return to the court, and that was for I'm not going to say what it was because I do know what it was, but that was more of a party drug that he should not have been taking. But this is a weird one. It came out of nowhere, and again, it's usually like massive inflammation, and the team doctors usually have a really like tight leash on these guys. They know exactly what they're taking, when they're taking it, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
a bit surprising to see something like this happen.
I guess like part of me goes, man, if I was a professional athlete, I would be super diligent about what types of things I put in my body, especially when it comes to like pills, right? Or medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I also know that players are people and they're human. And if you have this assistant that you trust with like everything, and assistant goes and you go, man, my elbow is killing me, and they go, hey, here's a painkiller, I got you. Like you, you're not gonna go, hey, what's in this? Is this on the bed? Like, you're just gonna take it.
But no, they go through training on this. Like the players are told specifically what the banned substance are and what
Sure.
to look for, and to not take this, this, and this.
No, I
And
understand that. I understand
yeah,
that. But human nature is like you're sitting there, your arm hurts, and your assistant, I'm assuming you trust with scheduling, and this is somebody that like you would put your life in their hands. They go, hey, here, take this. You're gonna go, okay, cool, thanks,
mm-hmm.
and you're just not gonna think about it again.
Oh,
I,
yeah,
I could 100% see myself doing that.
yep. It's possible. I just it just comes
I
down
just,
to like how did they have a prescription for something? And if it wasn't his, like you really, as a professional athlete, you shouldn't be taking someone else's prescription
no
because
doubt,
the ban list is so incredibly like extensive,
no doubt.
and you don't want to put yourself in this situation. So yeah, it's
I
not
just,
great for the Milwaukee Bucks. That's for sure.
I just don't think that there was some like nefarious thing going on here. This isn't like he took this thing that was like, supposed to not some kind of steroid or performance enhancer. Anyone? Oh, it was just an accident. Like I genuinely think there was just some mix up here.
No, that's very
And
possible, and I also like what you're talking about. It's not like he's trying to make an excuse for why he has like a masking agent in his system.
exactly, a masking
Which,
agent. Thank you. That's what I was trying to come up with.
yeah, which is what a lot of Major League Baseball players get suspended for. It's not the actual steroid; it's the masking agent that tries
Right.
to level out their testosterone levels and stuff. So it leaves behind like a trail, basically, and you can track that trail. So yeah, like it's definitely a bummer for the Bucks because this is a huge blow to them, like really a setback moment for them. He's been absolutely tremendous for them this season.
Yeah, no doubt. You mentioned baseball, and I want to get this in before we step aside for a moment and dig into the real meat of the show here. The A's are in extension talks with Lawrence Butler.
All right.
He didn't confirm that, but he didn't directly confirm it, but there was a report from the Athletic that he is in deep extension talks with the A's. Number one, oh, it can be done. They can extend players. But number two, there may not be. If somebody asked me, hey, I'm not a big baseball fan, but I'm thinking about going and watching the A's at Sutter Health Park. Why should I go? Lawrence Butler would be at or near the top of the list of reasons to go.
Oh yeah, he's
is
electric.
so much fun.
Yeah, he's electric. He's absolutely phenomenal 5-tool player, and I think like I read a little bit up on this, and what they think that could happen here is the A's could look at like a 7-year deal which would buy out not only his pre-arbitration but all of his arbitration years, which are 5 seasons, and then give him the next 2 years of post-arbitration. So he'll get like roughly between 55 and something higher than that million, but you'd buy out his first 5 years here, which would basically be around 25 million bucks, and then maybe a 2-year $15 million a year contract on top of that. So he gets a lot of security up front, and in exchange you get to buy 2 early years of his post arbitration years. So it would be great. This is something that the A's used to do all the time. Why they don't do it, or they haven't done it for the last 10 years, I don't know.
I
15
do.
years. Yeah, maybe we do know. Maybe it's because ownership is not
They've been
allowed
trying
that
to leave. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is what they, again, the A's were always notorious for buying out their young players' arbitration years and getting 1 or 2 years after post arbitration at a discounted rate for doing that. And so hopefully we're getting back to that day and age where the A's can keep their young players and not just prove them up, get everyone excited, and then trade them for pennies on the dollar.
The NBA has restarted. We've got some 49ers news. The Kings are practicing. NBA first half awards and superlatives coming up. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the insider sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader.
Okay.
I saw somebody in the chat say that tramadol is not an opioid. That was what I read, and then a quick Google told me that. But if that's wrong, my bad. But everything
Everywhere
I can
I've
find,
seen,
it's an opioid. So
everything I've seen is it's an opioid. Where Toradol is not.
Correct.
Toradol is it's a steroid, but it's a it attacks in a different way than an opioid. Basically shuts off opioid sensors in the body, like overwhelms, and that's where the pain goes away, as opposed to a like the steroid, the like anti-inflammatory steroid type that just clears it out. I don't know.
Is this true? Tramadol is what they give animals after spay and neuter. So he accidentally took his dog's painkillers, or maybe actually like purposely took his dog's painkillers and then blamed the assistant.
I don't know.
Man, that would be funny as hell.
That would be really odd. I do know that a Toradol
assistant. You're gonna have to take this one for me.
Yeah, when I'm in full like can't get off the ground muscle spasms, like a Toradol shot can help get me back to moving within maybe like 3 hours. Like it really goes in and breaks everything up. But the doctors are always like, hey, we're not doing this more than like once every like 3 months, because that's it just will destroy your body. It does heavy damage to, it can do kidney, liver, heart damage, all that stuff.
It's the thing that NFL players always get injected with.
Toradol?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like a super anti-inflammatory. Yeah. Your pets are on tramadol. It's like super, super lightweight. Plus, like the thing about your pet is your pet can't, your pet can get addicted, I assume, to opioids, but that would be you getting your pet addicted to opioids, not your pet just like drug seeking, searching your house for anything with codeine in it. Yeah.
Aldrin J, I'm not going to put that on the thing, but facts.
I'll also say this. I won't take opioids at all. Like I get prescriptions for them all the time because of my back, and they just sit there in the bottle, and I eventually throw them away. I don't use them at all.
Yeah.
Because they're so addictive, and I drink, and I'm not going to sit there and worry about whether I've had too much of this, too much of that. And I just don't like the general feel of it.
Yeah. Old THC CBG gummy in your life. That's the best.
Yeah, Jim Thurkill, if you're just walking into this discussion.
Rob Nacho gets it.
Bocus Microwave. The Kings play tomorrow. They play the Warriors tomorrow. They practice today at 1.
Dude, the Spurs might wind up with like 2 top 10 picks. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Manny, I have not had that. I've not had the energy drink, but I have had like the seltzer, and I like those a lot. I don't think the Kings practiced last night, right?
If they did, they didn't invite us.
All right, come back, guys.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
All right, that's James. I'm Kyle. Jesse Tapia on the 1s and 2s. We're hanging out with you till noon. I'm not even going to do 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 if you'd like to jump on the Elk Grove Kia talk line and join the conversation. I'm not even I'm doing a bad radio thing here. I'm not just continuing our conversation. I'm stopping everything because we're paying off this tease that we've been doing for 24 hours now, and we're doing NBA first half awards and superlatives. Okay? But here's how I'm going to be a damn pro. All right? Now that Victor Wembanyama is out for the season and disqualified from the Defensive Player of the Year conversation because he did not reach the 65-game threshold, that's going to change our conversation about what the awards season looks like. So let's go through the first half and let's find front runners, etc., who we think is going to win. And we'll start with the Defensive Player of the Year, where Victor Wembanyama, of course, if you missed it, deep vein thrombosis in his shoulder. He's out for the year. Certainly wishing him the best and hoping for a full recovery. It didn't sound from the report like there's any long-term concern, but obviously with something scary like deep vein thrombosis, you never quite know. So, James, let's start with the DPOY, where Victor Wembanyama was minus 2,500 to win the award.
They had already etched his name in the trophy.
It was done, dude.
Yes.
Jaren Jackson Jr. was plus 3,000. Evan Mobley was plus 3,000. So what looked like a laugher of a DPOY race down the stretch is suddenly really compelling if you're into that kind of thing.
No, I think it's extremely compelling. And I also think there are other candidates that aren't eligible because they've already missed too many games. You know, like a guy like Chet Holmgren. That's someone that could have been in this conversation, but just he's missed too many games already. And so a guy like Herb Jones, already done. He's missed too many games, and so they're not going to be eligible. Of the remaining players, Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be in the conversation because his team is really good and because he's already won it before. I'm going to look at Evan Mobley, who is third at a plus 3,000 or tied for second at a plus 3,000. I think Evan Mobley is going to have a very good shot here just because his team is 44-10, and because they're a very good defensive team, and he's sort of the anchor behind that. And so that's where I would go. And I just really like Evan Mobley as a player. I have since he was, at the college level. And, he's not a perfect player by any means, but he is a very, very good player. And so that's the guy I would look at. Also, just remember, like, Oklahoma City is like number 1 in defensive rating. So if they have somebody who stands out, I just don't know that Shea or Lou Dort are going to get enough consideration for a DPOY.
Yeah, a guy like Chet Holmgren might, but I don't think Chet's going to hit the game's threshold either. Just because he missed so much time. I'm trying to find right now. Okay, so here's where the odds stand right now. Jaren Jackson Jr. is minus 130. Evan Mobley is minus 110. And then it's Lou Dort at plus 1,000. Dyson Daniels at plus 1,000.
Oh,
and
see, Dyson
SJ
Daniels.
4,000.
Yeah. I mean, anyone that can have their team anywhere near, let's see, where are the Atlanta Hawks in defensive rating? They're 15th in the league, but if you can have your team at 15th in the league playing alongside Trae Young, that means you're really, really good. I would not be surprised if he actually sneaks in and wins that award.
I kind of wonder if Evan Mobley gets it if the Cavs win the East and Evan Mobley gets the award, because they're not going to have the MVP. They're not going to have the sixth man. They might have coach of the year, but they're not going to have like most improved. And Evan Mobley has taken this leap this year that I think people have kind of been waiting for him to take. He's taken that leap under Kenny Atkinson, who, did you know, is French?
No.
Yeah, is coaches on the French national team and like speaks French.
Oh, you
had
learned
no idea.
This.
I learned this yesterday. Just insane.
I had no idea.
I didn't either. All of a sudden, and it wasn't like a featured part of it. Like they're just showing a French practice. They're like watching film, and all of a sudden it's like Kenny Atkinson, assistant coach. Like, wait, what? And he's just casually talking in French. It was nuts. Anyways, I kind of wonder if Evan Mobley gets the DPOY as a just like, hey, we need to give the Cavs something, and Evan Mobley took this really nice leap. So here, you're gonna win the DPOY.
That's intriguing. I do know. One time I had an Italian reporter, Riccardo Pertizzi, say, "Hey, can you hold my camera? I'm gonna interview Mike D'Antoni." And I'm like, "Okay." And then next thing I know, I'm holding a camera while the two of them just have a full conversation in Italian. And I'm like, this is wild. Like they're going back and forth and looking at each other. And I'm sitting there holding the camera like, oh my gosh, this is magic. I have no idea what they're saying, but it looks really
so
cool.
Funny. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, so DPOY, like I said, if you're into that kind of thing, should be really interesting down the stretch. Triple J and Evan Mobley, the front runners by a long shot. The rookie of the year race is weird, which is not that surprising. Stephon Castle, I believe, is the favorite right now. He's minus 165. Jalen Wells is the only player is in second at plus 600. So it's kind of Stephon Castle's award to lose. And I think now that Victor Wembanyama is out, I think this is where they might pull the plug on the Chris Paul thing and start Stephon Castle and really let him kind of try and make his mark this year.
Well, that's what they should do. What they will do and what they should do, I don't know if it's the same thing, but like you're in a position where you should actually move this way and give the guy an opportunity. I would say my dark horse in this is Zachary Risachet, and Risachet for
1,100 right now.
Yeah, but I think he's, especially with Jalen Johnson missing the rest of the season, I think he's going to get all kinds of opportunity here. And he's had a really good year. He's 11.4 points, 3.3 rebounds. His shooting numbers are a little soft at 43.3% and 31.7. But he really does look like a gifted athlete that he's super smooth. And so I wouldn't be surprised if, especially a team like Atlanta that needs some positivity, especially with the fact they don't even have their own first round pick this year, if they don't push him forward and say, hey, let's try to get this kid some notoriety.
Yeah, man. And that's another one where down the stretch, like why wouldn't you give him opportunities? You're not going anywhere. Yeah. Like he should have the ball in his hands a lot. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, especially at that value. Of course, the Spurs would have a second consecutive rookie of the year, and then also have 2 picks. They have Atlanta's unprotected first, and they have their own first, and those might both be in the top 10.
Yeah, just
of course,
absolutely,
why not?
Absolutely ridiculous to have 2 shots at the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. Yeah,
that's so annoying.
That could really, really change the entire balance of the NBA. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Stephon Castle, by the way, before the Victor Wembanyama injury, was still the favorite at plus 125 and then went to minus 165.
Okay.
In the betting market. That's nuts. MVP, SGA's award to lose?
Oh, I probably, at this point, yes.
The odds makers believe so.
They believe so, but the season that Jokic is putting up right now is one of the greatest statistical seasons that we've ever seen in the league. He's averaging 29.8. He's averaging 12.6 rebounds, 10.2 assists, a true triple-double. He's shooting 45% from 3 still. I mean, like attempts? 4.5. Yeah, she's shooting 57.7%. And from the field, like what Jokic is doing right now is absolutely insane. But I do think that people have gotten sort of tired of giving it to him. And
I think that's right.
he's already got 3 of them, right? He's got 3 first-place finishes in the last 4 years, and the other year he came in second. He's also led the league in triple doubles in 3 of the last 4 years, like he is right now. Last year, of course, he got beat out by it was Domas, right? They have more triple doubles. Yes. So he's just an absolute like statistical anomaly, and so I'm not going to say that it's just Shea and no one else has a shot, because I know they look at things like win shares and everything else. And for as good as Jokic has been over the last 5 years, 6 years, he's averaging 0.334 win shares per 48 minutes. It's by far his best season ever. His best season before that was 0.308. So like this is absolutely wild. Like offensive, he leads the league in every single advanced statistic that you can think of. He leads in offensive win shares, in win shares overall, in win shares per 48, in offensive box plus minus, defensive box plus minus, every single thing, VORP, everything. Man. He leads the league. So I'd like to tell you that Shea is going to run away with this thing, but we need to see how this thing finishes, because if Denver keeps playing the way they are right now, they can track down OKC, or at least give them a run for that number 1 overall seed, and then it becomes like a really complicated question. Maybe they can't make up 8 games, but
that would be a pretty monumental collapse from OKC.
Yeah,
like they've lost. Denver's lost 19 games. OKC might not lose 19 all year, so they might just not be able to catch them. But so that's what I was going to ask. Is there any path for Jokic? Because it feels like if Denver winds up as the 3 or 4 seed and they're 9 or 10 games back of the 1, it's just going to be Shea's. Like because we know this, the NBA MVP. It's just like it's a narrative award. It's who won the season, who dominated the season. And it's like it just feels like this season has been about Shea. Like we've been waiting for somebody besides Jokic, or I guess Joel Embiid had his MVP year, but we've been like waiting for somebody to take that next step, whether it's Luka, whether it's Shea, like just someone. And this year it feels like it's been about Shea. As good as OKC is, everybody knows that SGA is the tip of that spear.
Yeah, and I definitely think that, like looking at where OKC is in the standings and what, they look like they're so far above everyone else in the Western Conference. And they're doing it without a whole bunch of star power, right? Yeah. They're doing it with like Shea and then a bunch of like really, really, really good role players.
Yeah.
At like 10 deep of role players. And so I think that, he's probably the MVP at this point, but I'm not gonna like ignore the guy who's averaging 30, 12, and 10.
God.
And, like putting up a triple double. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible.
I think Jokic is going to get first place votes.
Yep.
But I think it's that voter fatigue. I saw somebody in the chatty house bring this up. It's like, it's why Karl Malone won an MVP. It's why Derrick Rose won his MVP. Like people were just bored with Michael Jordan and LeBron. So, hey, who else is the story this year? What else is the story? And I think that's kind of it with Jokic. And maybe if the Nuggets go on a tear here, what have they won? 6 in a row? I think they've won 6 in a row right now. But if they go on a tear and they wind up 2 games back of OKC at year's end, I could 100% see Jokic becoming the story of the season, because these MVP things always kind of change down the stretch. And if SGA has a couple of bad games in prime time and Jokic has a 40, 20, 15 game in prime time, and Denver gets to within shouting distance of OKC, then yeah, I could 100% see the narrative flipping. But right now, this is SGA's season, man.
Yeah. Denver has won 8 in a row. Yeah. But, it is what it is.
Gosh.
They've won 8 in a row. I'll say the Oklahoma City Thunder, their points per game versus opponents' points per game,
insane.
They're a plus 12.9 on the season.
Just insane. They are giving up 104.9 points a game.
Yeah. It's just
in the NBA in 2025.
Yeah. Maybe Shea does win. the DPOY. Maybe he does. He leads the league in defensive win shares. Just give him all the awards. Just like have him walk out with a whole bunch of awards.
Just OKC wins it all. What's been your biggest? I think SGA is going to win it. I think Jokic is going to make a push, but I think ultimately SGA is going to wind up being the MVP. What's been your biggest surprise this year in the NBA so far?
I think the meteoric rise of the Rockets is one. I also think the Memphis Grizzlies going from just, like lost in a wasteland to the second seed again, where they were a couple of years ago is really, really crazy. But I think the biggest surprise of the first half was the trade, the Luka trade.
Oh, that's man.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's been a wild season, right?
Yeah, dude. I think that's probably I think that's the right answer, because that was I don't think I've ever had a trade be a where were you type of thing for me in sports. Like there's games and stuff like that and news that'll happen, deaths or what have you, where I'm like, oh my God, I remember exactly where I was when that happened. I've never had a trade be that before. Yeah. And I'll always have it. So that's a really good answer. For me, it's the Cavs, bro. The Cavs preseason over under was 48.5. They're at 44-10. Like 48.5 is a really good number, and they're going to blow that out of the water. And remember preseason, the Cavs, this year's Cavs is the most wrong I've ever been about a thing. I've been wrong a lot. Like I'm not one of those people. It's like, I'm always right. I'm not. But I thought the Cleveland Cavaliers were going to be like play-in. I did not believe in their team construction. I did not think they were particularly impressive in the playoffs last year. And I wasn't totally sure that Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell could coexist. I thought one of them was going to ask out. I just didn't, I didn't like the vibe. Buddy, they're 44-10. They are the number one team in the East by a lot. I don't think I'd pick them to come out of the East. I think it's still Boston's championship to lose. But I'm only saying that because Jesse's here. But 44-10, they have been unbelievable defensively, offensively. Kenny Atkinson should be the coach of the year. Evan Mobley could be the DPOY. They are just sensational. That's a really, really damn good basketball team, and I did not see it coming at all.
I was surprised how down you were on the Cavs. Like when we did preseason stuff, I think I had them as like the third best team.
Yeah, you had them as the 3 or 4 seed, I think.
Yeah. I thought that they would be good. I just didn't know how good. And all of a sudden they're really good. And, again, they're a team that went out and improved at the deadline. They're a team that's like looking to get better, and you got to respect it.
Yeah, no doubt. What about disappointments?
Ooh,
I've got one.
Yeah, what do you got?
It's Phoenix. I thought Phoenix I didn't think they were going to be great, but I thought they'd be one of the 6 best teams in the West.
I thought, you know what, you're right. Phoenix is.
Good.
Well, when we went through the rankings, like I remember distinctly saying that I thought that Devin Booker's time with Team USA would translate and make him a better teammate and a better leader for that team. And they just got lost in the chaos, lost in the dysfunction. And you hate to see that from a team that has like stars that they just like can't get out of their own way. But I think you're probably right. They're probably the biggest disappointment in the league. I mean, the Pelicans being a 13-win team is pretty shocking as well. But overall, I think that's probably the most shocking team in the league. That and Philly just not being any good.
Philly for sure. But the Suns, like when you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and to a lesser extent Bradley Beal and Grayson Allen had the year he had last year, and they signed Tyus Jones. You're like, okay, hey, somebody that can organize the offense and actually be the primary ball handler. Wow, I love what Phoenix did. You just figured, okay, they're going to fall backwards into like 46 wins. They're just going to be in that range and just be good. The fact that they're 26-28 and appear to be going the wrong direction is stunning to me. That's insane for sure.
What about the team who fired the coach that they extended in the offseason and traded their franchise player?
Well, you're probably right. The Kings are probably right there as
I had them at 51.
Yeah, and they're
who here didn't have the Kings winning at least 50 games?
They're still right in it, not in it for 50, but they're still right in the play-in chase. But you're probably right, Jesse. So much
They belong
chaos.
in the conversation. They belong in the
They do.
conversation for sure. All right, we'll continue this. We've got what else? What else do we have here? We're gonna do this for the Kings, and then
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna do this for the Kings as well. And then I'm gonna be a big hockey guy tonight, and I think the NHL is doing something that the NBA needs to take notes on, and we'll tell you what it is next. He's James. I'm Kyle. Jesse Tapia is hanging out with us. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 and Sacramento Sports Center.
All good.
Yeah, Joel Embiid might have the worst contract in sports right now. That's a good take. Whoever said that, good take.
Somebody brought up Bradley Beal's contract, and the fact that Bradley Beal not only makes all that money, but that he's not well liked at all.
Yeah,
and then
dick.
And he has a no trade clause in it. All of that is not good.
Do the 76ers have two of the top 3 worst contracts in the league on their team?
Yes.
Bro, Paul George is so ass.
Yeah,
like he's not even like it's not even like, man, he's really good when he's playing. He just hasn't been able to play a lot. Like, no, he's just been bad.
You know the best part about that is he told us he wasn't that good anymore. He kept saying, "Hey, I'm not a 1A or a 1B anymore. I'm not really that's not really who I am anymore." And we're like, "Oh man, Paul George, big contract with Philly." It's like, "Oh, okay. You got like a third best player?" Yeah.
God, poor Tyrese Maxey. Get him some help.
That's facts.
Paul George is playing 32 minutes a night. He's shooting 36.3% from 3, but 42.6% from the field. And he's averaging 16, 5, and 4 with a couple of steals.
Wasn't very nice. Would you see that tweet or whatever that he had more podcast clips posted than field goals made this season?
I did. Hey, I'm getting a call from the tribal chief right now. Stand by.
Oh,
serious.
This is serious. All right.
This is Kyle's last day on the show, you guys.
All right.
The process is the biggest fraudulent, fakest, whatever you want to call it, thing of all time.
The process?
Yeah, it didn't work. It was dumb.
Yeah, I think it worked to get them.
All it did was give them an opportunity to blow picks.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. I don't even know which tribal chief he's talking to, because we have multiples. Oh.
It's over, guys.
Kyle being a...
I love you guys. That's so funny.
I knew we couldn't cut it.
They're standing right outside.
That's hilarious. Well, they probably, knowing Roberts, he probably came down here to talk to me directly and then was like, "Oh yeah, he's not here. Let's just call him."
Yeah, because he couldn't possibly know that you were on a show.
Yeah, no, yeah. 10:42. I'm usually not busy.
You and I both know that he didn't know we were on a break.
In my heart, he's dialed into our break schedule. In my heart, he knows exactly what's happening.
That's funny. That's funny. The other Kyle did come over and the other Aaron came over and looked in the window before you got that call.
Yep.
And then both Aaron were at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both here.
Yep.
Bosses are super locked into what we do.
Facts.
One of them is trying to get into it.
Yeah, dude, he watches sometimes. He tried to get in the chatty house.
Be careful.
I'd be so mad if I get fired, whatever. It happens sometimes, right? I'd be so mad if I was in like Elk Grove on my way to work and they just called and like, hey, you're done.
Yeah.
We're back.
Couldn't let me know.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, everybody. James there. I'm Kyle. Jesse Tapia hanging out with us today. I appreciate you, Jesse. If you want to watch the show, again, if you're listening on ESPN 1320 AM, we appreciate you very much. But when you get out of the car, jump on the free Odyssey app and continue listening. Or if you got to head into work, hit youtube.com/ESPN1320 or twitch.tv/ESPN1320, and you can hang out with us there during the breaks. We just chat and have a great time. And sometimes my boss calls during the break because he's so locked into our break schedules that he knows to call me when we're at break and not while the show is on.
Calls from the boss. Is that probably the scariest thing you can get as a worker?
No, not. I don't think so. At least not for me in my experience with Odyssey. The scariest thing is the call into the office.
True.
So like, hey, can you stop? Can you pop into my office? That's like, uh-oh. Because I got to tell you.
At NBC, I got a text. Hey, are you available between 3 and 4 today? And I thought to myself, I said, yes, of course. And then I thought to myself, I've known this boss for 3 years. He's never once asked me for a specific time. And I'm like, what's going on?
Oh,
and then it's like, and then I got the call like 5 minutes later. Like, all right.
So the way this is inside baseball, but whatever. The way it went down for me when I was let go from the San Francisco arm of this company, I got to fill in hosting the show that I produced, and we were going down for our regular post show meeting, and they were like, "Yeah, it's in the conference room down there." Da, da, da. I was like, "Great, bet." Had what I thought was a great show. I was like feeling really good about myself, and then the other host got pulled aside by the assistant, the guy who's the de facto assistant PD, and was like, "Hey, can we go over these reads real quick?" Didn't even think about it. And I'm just walking back. I'm like having a good time. I'm like, man, I can't wait to talk about today's show. And then I turn the corner and I look into the conference room, and it's HR lady and big boss and my boss. It was like, uh-oh, this isn't a show meeting, is it?
Oh, that's rough.
That was a bad beat for me. So yeah, the call into the office is for sure way worse than the phone call from the boss.
Now that we talk about it, HR is the scariest person in the building.
Totally. And they're the two like kindest people in the building.
Facts.
But there was one day we have a dishwasher in our little kitchen area, right? And it was flooded. And I was like, I'm going to take it upon myself to fix this. And so I was like, how hard can it be? You take the rack out, you undo the stuff at the bottom, and you let you pull out whatever's clogging the drain, and you go, right? Pause to all that. And I reach into the drain, and there's something sharp, and it cuts my finger. So I'm up. Yeah. And so I'm up and I'm washing my hands. And as I'm like getting all this stuff ready, HR walks by. And I got so scared that I was going to be like in trouble for trying to do this at work and hurting myself at work. And that I was going to have to like file some like claim or something weird like that. But no, she was just like, first aid's here. Do you need help with anything? Okay, make sure to wipe this down, spray this, make sure to wash this out. Here's a Band-Aid. Is this the right size Band-Aid? Just the best. So, but yeah, if you get a phone call from HR, that's tough. That's a bad beat. I don't want that.
Yeah. Just ignore it forever.
Yeah, no, you can't. Yeah, that's what's happening. In fact, I'm going to find our HR number and I'm going to put it in my phone as do not answer.
That's right.
And that's just how we're going to move forward. He's James. I'm Kyle. Jesse Tapia is hanging out with us today. Hey, spring training is going to be fascinating this year. MLB, which is already done robot umpires in the minors, is doing robot umpires for spring training with major league clubs. And I got to tell you, I cannot wait. I need this to be a thing ASAP.
I do too.
It's the best. So if you're unfamiliar with ABS, the automated ball and strike system, it's not every call. It's not every pitch runs up to a computer and the computer spits it out. No, there's still a human umpire. They're calling the balls and strikes. It's just you get 2 challenges per game. And I think it's like fist on the head or something is the challenge signal, whatever the challenge signal is.
Does each player get 2 or does each team get 2?
I believe each team gets 2.
Okay.
That was the way I read it, was teams get 2 ABS challenges per game, but you retain your challenge if you're correct. So you can challenge 10 times if the umpires is wrong 10 times. And it's really cool. If you've not seen it yet, get out to Sutter Health Park, get to a River Cats game and you'll see it there. But let's say River Cats guy throws a pitch that he thinks is a strike, ump calls it a ball. They challenge it real quick. Ump goes, okay, hey, does the little hand signal that they're challenging. And then on the video board, in tennis, when it shows you the ball tracker and whether it hits on the line or not, it does that, but with the strike zone.
Okay.
It is so fun.
And it's fast.
Yes, it goes super quick.
It was within like 5 seconds. It was like, oh, that's a strike.
Yep. And then they just go back to it. They don't argue. They don't go, what? Nope. You just like, oh, nope. It was a ball. Okay, great. Starting the about again.
I think for me, like why they don't do this is I don't understand it. And like there needs to be accountability in the moment for the ref, for the umpire. And if somebody is calling like really bad balls and strikes all game long, and he's giving like 3 inches off the plate and he's calling it every time, like you as a baseball player, you have to adjust right to the umpire. But if you could just like trigger it and say, no, we're not doing this today. You're not giving the whole outside play of the plate all game long. You just trigger it and then you keep triggering it until they correct themselves and they start calling the game right. And so I think that there is a possibility for this to be a really positive thing. And, again, I think the biggest gripe that I have about the NBA's about their officiating and their review system is the only time you can challenge a play is if an official blows a whistle.
Yes.
But for all the plays that they don't blow a whistle and you're like, wait, that was a foul. And they're like, we didn't blow the whistle. You can't review it.
And you can challenge a goaltend, but you can't challenge a play that was a goaltend but not called.
Yes.
Right. So if they call a goaltend, you can challenge and say, no, it wasn't. But if there's a goaltend and they don't call it, you can't challenge it because they didn't call it.
Exactly.
Yeah, there has to be.
Like 10 years ago, Kings lost a game. Jason Thompson went down for a dunk right at the end of the game. And I believe it was, oh my goodness, who's power forward, played for OKC forever.
Talking about Serge Ibaka?
Serge Ibaka went up through the rim and blocked Jason Thompson through the rim.
Yeah.
And they missed it, and the Kings lost. And it was like, there's no review at that point. And you're like, wow, yeah, it was Serge Ibaka. And I think he was playing for Orlando. That's what I seem to remember.
I forgot about the Serge Ibaka Orlando Magic era.
Yes.
Kyron also thinks it was Serge Ibaka. So if 2 people have a guess and they're the same
long-time Thunder power forward has got to be Ibaka every time.
Yeah, and he played for Orlando for like 1 year, right?
Facts, yeah.
Yeah.
Does the NBA have the best obscure like player team combos?
Never thought about it up until this moment in my life, but you might be right.
Like you didn't remember a guy playing there?
Yeah, like Tony Parker on the Hornets.
Or
Hakeem Olajuwon on the Raptors, right?
Right,
or Patrick Ewing on the Sonics.
Yeah, and the Magic, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the NBA has the best version of those.
Yeah, you might be right.
Because baseball, I think baseball players move around too much. Like there's some wild, like Ricky Anderson played for like 9 teams or whatever it was, and that was just kind of his thing.
Did he play for the A's 3 times or 4 times?
It might have been 5. It was so many times. It was like he had to go back to Oakland after going to a different team.
NFL's not bad either. We got Jerry Rice on the Seahawks. T.O. was a Bill.
The TO just while we're on the topic, the Terrell Owens season with the Cincinnati Bengals is an all-time underrated, incredible season by a wide receiver.
T.O. could have gone for 1,000 yards at 45. I'll believe it. Most in-shape player of all time.
Yeah, dude, he's 51 and he's scoring 18 points in a celebrity NBA pickup game.
That's funny.
Terrell Owens is the best, dude. I freaking love Terrell Owens. He has terrible takes about the 49ers, and that's fine. I'm sure he's not super dialed in, but just an absolute all-timer. With Cincinnati at age 37, in 14 games, he had 72 catches for 983 yards and 9 touchdowns as a 37-year-old in 14 games with Andy Dalton throwing to him.
That's wild.
All-time great. All-time great.
I do think like Jerry Rice played at age 40. He had 92 catches for 1,211 yards, 7 touchdowns as a 40-year-old for the Raiders. So
yeah, dude.
Yeah, Jerry was able to just maintain for just so many years, just greatness forever.
Yeah, man. The A's have some Manny Ramirez, Frank Thomas, Mike Piazza played for the A's.
Adam Dunn.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Didn't Hideki Matsui play for the A's?
Hideki Matsui was
he did.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Matsui land. That was the year I had season tickets in the bleachers.
This was after he was a Yankee, correct?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
I have no memory of this at all then.
And actually,
that's fine. Those were not spectacular A's teams.
Well, I'm saying I remember him on the Yankees clearly, but yeah, never remembered him on the A's.
Frank Thomas was a beast. I think he hit 40 jacks for the A's. Him and Nick Swisher.
I think it was like second or third in MVP voting that year.
Yeah, Swisher hit 35 and he hit 40, I believe, that year.
Yeah,
yes, Vince Carter.
That 06 team was so sick.
Oh yeah, see Dave Justice on the A's. There were a lot of like intriguing ones that happened.
Just name obscure players on obscure teams the rest of the show.
Yeah, just take the entire show.
Just that thing online that's like guys will literally sit around and just name old athletes for hours. It's
that's
like
literally what we'll do for hour 2.
That's right.
Yeah. Facts. All right, we're gonna name some guys. If you want to name some guys with us, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. That's James. Jesse Tapia is hanging out with us. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320 and Sacramento Sports Leader.
All right, Kyle, you got a raid coming up right now.
Yeah, you're damn right I do.
Sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320 and 98.5 HD2, Sacramento's sports leader.
Hey, this is Kyle from the Insiders, FYI, and I'm here to talk to you about Underdog Daily Fantasy because there's not a better time than now to jump on Underdog Daily Fantasy and play their pick'em game. It's super easy. You pick higher or lower on at least 2 player stats, and they've got basketball, they've got baseball, they've got all your favorite sports, all your favorite leagues, all your favorite players. I'm doing a 4 Nations Cup lineup tonight, or a 4 Nations face-off, the 4 Nations face-off, the NHL's version of the All-Star game. It's Canada versus the U.S. I cannot wait. I've got Austin Matthews. I'm going to go lower than 3.5 shots for Austin Matthews. I'm going higher than 1.5 shots for Sidney Crosby, and I'm going higher than half a goal for Connor McDavid. He's been on fire. I think he's going to get a goal for Canada. It's really that easy. I've got a lineup set, and when you make your lineups, you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. It's my favorite way to watch sports, and I think you'll have a great time. So come join me. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code KyleM. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
All good.
That might have been my best one.
I agree.
Thanks, man.
We'll cut that and send it to the people. This is what you're picking right here.
Chris Biederman and I are beefing. FYI.
Why is that?
I don't want to say. He's jumping on the radio in a bit.
Damn it, Chris.
I'm like, all right, bro, I see you. I told him we're not podcasting anymore today. Yeah, that's why I took him lower than 3.5 shots. Even if he does play, I don't know that he's going to be super involved. And if he doesn't play, then my lineup reverts to a 2-man lineup.
There's a lot of heat between USA and Canada today.
So much again. I'm so fired up for that.
I love
it. That's so funny. Dude, Ramsey's been back in here.
Did I miss anything?
I just crushed my read. No big deal.
Sweet.
Chris Biederman's dead to me.
That's no.
What's happening.
What Biederman do?
More like what didn't he do, James?
Yeah, it's facts.
Huh.
He's on the radio today.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I thought he wasn't doing that anymore.
No, he is. He's just not, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The end of Candlestick Chronicles, would have thought. Your favorite Niners podcast is now done.
We had a good run, though.
I know they did have...
it was a run.
Our friend Sean Cunningham was on somewhere.
Come on, man.
We're
almost at 700 episodes, dog. We got a beer named after us.
That's wild.
Shout out.
Yeah, salute. Candlestick Chronicles right here. Hey. Never realized how much beer is in the back of my
Kyle, I was
background.
meaning to talk to you about your beer issue.
That's the funny thing is I have so much beer in my fridge because I stopped drinking it nearly as often as I used to. So I have so much beer in the beer fridge because I would always anytime I went to Trader Joe's, I was like, oh, that looks good. And I'd buy a 6-pack or whatever.
We're back.
I'd go to a brewery.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the ESPN 1320 Insiders. Get ready for the most up-to-date sports news and talk with the ESPN 1320 Insiders.
Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jesse Tapia is rocking with us today. We're hanging out with you till noon, then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and Casey, and they'll take you up to 4 o'clock right here on Sacramento's Sports Leader. Do you have a favorite brewery in Sacramento? We're talking about beer at the break.
No, I'm not a huge beer guy. Okay,
very good. I'm not going to start naming breweries because I was going to just start throwing some out, but I don't want to leave any out that I like because there are so many. Sacramento's got a great beer scene. That was the moral of my story.
So does Auburn. Auburn has a great beer scene too.
Yeah, that whole area has really good beer. Anyways, he's James. I'm Kyle. I'm not usually a hockey guy. I like hockey fine, but I don't lock in for hockey for the NHL specifically the way I do, with the NBA or MLB or the NFL. But what the NHL has done is they tried. So their All-Star game stunk, right? It was the equivalent of the NBA All-Star game in terms of the scores would be outrageous and whatever. Mm-hmm. They tried to make it a team thing, the way the NBA did. That didn't work either. I went to it when it was in San Jose. Not an entertaining product. Didn't have a good time. So they're doing the 4 nations face-off in lieu of an All-Star game. And so if you're not familiar, they took they were going to take the top 4 teams in the IIHF rankings. So Canada is 1, I believe. Sweden is 2, and the US is 4. But Russia is 3, but Russia is sanctioned by the IIHF because of the war in Ukraine. And then the German team, which is number 5, I think. So US 4 and Germany was 5. Yeah, that's right. And Germany doesn't have enough players in the NHL to field a team. So they moved to number 6, Finland, and they just played a round robin tournament. Every team plays each other once, and then they move on to a final, which is the US versus Canada tonight. I don't want to break down the United States versus Canada game. The US beat them 3-1 in their round robin matchup, but could the NBA pull something like this off?
I think they
like a mini Olympics instead of an all-star game?
I think if you did like areas, right? So if you did like I don't know, like Serbia and a couple other countries around Serbia that have players,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
sections
Serbia,
of the world.
yeah, Lithuania, like you could do France, Spain, like, you know, like small sections like European Union team and I don't know. Like it would
You'd have
I think you
to
could.
play with it a little bit for sure. Pause.
I mean, you certainly Canada could field a team without any problems. But I don't know how many other nations could fill a team by themselves. You know,
Yeah,
like
that's
France and Spain, sure, like they can come close to building a team.
Is the simple solution just USA versus the world?
so that right. That's the simple solution, but the world would kick the USA's ass in that game.
Wow, Kyle hates
That would
America.
how would that would that not be an uncompetitive game?
I don't think so. I think it'd be. I don't think it'd be uncompetitive.
Okay, like I think it would be a competitive. I think it would be competitive. I don't know. I
Okay,
mean, because
let's do the world starting lineup. SGA,
okay,
Jokic is in the starting lineup for
Yep.
sure. Wemby's in the
Giannis in there.
starting lineup.
Giannis.
Giannis playing the 3? Is that what
Luka.
we're doing?
He's in the starting 5. That's what we know.
SGA,
you might
Luka,
be right.
Giannis, Jokic, and Wemby is your starting 5?
Probably.
Oh, my goodness.
Bring him out
Rudy
to the
Gobert.
3-point line.
That's
Rudy
solid
Gobert's on that
strike
team.
zone.
Bogey,
Yeah, he's
Bogdan
coming off the
Bogdanovic,
bench.
probably
Yep.
coming off the bench. He might be the 6th man.
Okay.
Team USA, Steph. Oh, hey, Domas is on the international team, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
6 man.
Steph, KD, LeBron, Tatum, unless Steve Kerr's the coach. And on the court
and
of
of
gold,
course, Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know what you're talking about.
Jason Tatum isn't mentioned one time
In the documentary?
Yeah,
He's not mentioned one time in the Olympics either.
I know. They showed footage of No, he gets mentioned as like because they're talking about the construction of Team USA and how they have the old guys and then they have the like new wave of players. And it's Malika Andrews, and she mentions like Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum. And the footage of Jason Tatum was against Canada in one of the like friendly pre-Olympic matches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dang, that's tough. That's a bad beat.
Well, I love Jason Tatum, but it's like he's gonna kill the vibes of the whole documentary if you talk to him about it.
Yeah, facts. 100%.
I think it's interesting too because if you look at the way, like, you know, there we had it on the rundown, but we never got to it. The debate on whether you can have the U.S. born player has to be the face of the NBA.
Yeah, we can get to that right now.
Stephen A. Smith brought that up, and I don't agree with that at all. But I also like when they bring up players that it could be, it like Jason Tatum's name comes up, and it's like, well, he's just too boring. Like there's just not enough there as far as like personality and like, you know, what is he going to bring? And I think there is a shift happening right now in the NBA that's been happening for like the last 30 years, but we're to the point where it's almost surpassed where like the face of the NBA, it doesn't have to be a US born player, at least not in my book.
I don't think so either, man. The game is just because Stephen A. Smith was talking about it and was like, basketball is an international game, but the NBA is an American sport. Like, bro, I don't think fans, especially younger fans, don't look at it that way. I don't think if Victor Wembanyama winds up being the player we all think he's going to be, and he averages for 5 years 30, 15, 6, and 5 blocks, like, he's going to be the face of the league. He's going to win a bunch of titles, and everyone's going to love Wemby. Nobody's going to be like, wow, I need some Jalen Brunson in my life. It's just that's not a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah, and like Ramsey brings up in the chat, I think we all know the face of Major League Baseball. It doesn't matter how much they try to make it Aaron Judge. It's
a great point.
Clear.
It's a fantastic point. Shohei's the face of the league right now.
Shohei is the face of the league.
Whether you like it or not. And Aaron Judge is extremely popular. Like, don't get it twisted. Aaron Judge is an extremely popular player as well. But Shohei's the face of baseball.
No,
and that's why it could be Wemby, it could be Luka, it could be Giannis, whatever it is. Like that, I think it's ridiculous. I also wonder though.
Go ahead. Well, if we were talking NFL, Like okay, I get it because it's not played around the world. But these other sports, they are played around the world. Like basketball it's the most global game that we have, right? It is, I think probably like cricket is played in more places and, like is more popular worldwide. Soccer is more popular worldwide than baseball or than basketball. But basketball is the one Americanized sport that has gone out and really tried to expand its brand and make it a global brand. And that was David Stern's idea. And he pushed to make it as big as possible. And we're now seeing the success of it, where it doesn't have to be a 7'3" kid from, Kentucky. It can be a 7'3" kid from France, and not only that, but what they've done to, Basketball Without Borders to get into communities and really help develop a community and find stars within a community that go back and help that community grow and become better. I mean, it really is a global brand that I think extends way past the U.S. borders. And I mean, am I mistaken? Wasn't it invented by a Canadian basketball? I mean,
yeah, Steve Nash.
Yeah, Steve Nash, of course. Yeah, but it is what it is, right? I just don't understand why we have to like put a limit on it.
The Thompson twins are from the U.S., right?
I believe
we have the Thompsons. Okay, thank God. I saw a bunch of people saying Domas. I saw. I don't know. I just didn't know if they were international. I saw a bunch of people saying Domas is born in Portland. Domas literally plays for Team Lithuania.
Yeah. He was born in Portland,
he would. I don't think he would be on the U.S. team.
No, I mean he could play for either. Like technically speaking.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm just looking at the idea of a Team USA. I'm trying to just jot down names on the fly here.
The Thompson twins were born in San Leandro.
Hell yeah, Baycats, let's go. No, it's maybe Team USA's depth makes it more interesting, but I don't know. It'd be worth a shot, right? To do for a year.
Be entertaining at least. I think if they play.
I think they've tried to do this, haven't they? I think they did. They tried to do a U.S. versus the world. Maybe 8 years ago.
They did that with like the Rising Stars, right? Isn't that what the Rising Stars challenge was?
Maybe you're right. Maybe it was Rising Stars. I don't know. I mean, you can easily do it with the main team, but like, are you going to hit a cap on players? Like, I think you'd have to invite more people because what you don't want to do is invite the best 24 players and hope that it's an even split 12-12. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wouldn't be an all-star game necessarily. Like it wouldn't be all made up of all-stars, but I feel like the NBA is going to do something pretty significant at some point. And maybe it's being as drastic as the NHL was and whacking the all-star game entirely and turning it into this like mini Olympics.
Can you even do that though, since like all-star selections are tied to contracts and all that?
Oh. Yeah, you'd have to maybe have like a ceremonial all-star like badge. Like, hey, cool, you were an all-star. But I'm not a hockey guy, and I've been locked into this Four Nations face-off thing. It's been so much fun. Like the guys play so hard,
and they beat up on each other.
Yeah, USA and Canada dropped gloves like 3 seconds into their game.
Yeah,
and it just like so maybe and maybe it's one of those things that's just hockey players are built diff and whatever. But I look at the success of this for the NHL. And I'm like, man, I'm sure Adam Silver with his willingness to take from other leagues, like I'm sure he has an eye on it.
Oh, I'm sure he already does. Yeah.
I don't know that a Team USA versus the world thing, like it matches. Like you look at Steph, KD, LeBron, like, okay, that's great. But what happens in 3 years when those guys are all out of the league? That's kind of what I wonder what it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I think we are heading towards that phase where not only are like most of the stars like leaving, but most of the big personalities are leaving. And a lot of the current stars, they don't have a lot of like I don't know. They're not shameless self promoters. There isn't another Jimmy Butler that's coming along, unless like Anthony Edwards, like a guy who's out there, and Anthony Edwards might be the one guy who's been like extremely vocal. The rest of the young star group is pretty quiet, and it's just different.
And the ones who aren't and who are like on TikTok and vocalize the way young people vocalize now get like shouted down as weird and not focused on basketball.
Yeah.
It's like you're incentivized. You're incentivized to be boring now. But then if you're boring, you get told you can't be the face of the league. Even though like Steph's pretty boring. I know he hasn't technically been like the face of the NBA, but he's one of them. And I wouldn't say he's a super exciting like personality.
Yeah.
He's pretty boring, right?
Steph?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. He's definitely a guy who has. I mean, him and his wife have the cooking show, or the other things that they've done outside of basketball to like let you in and see their like inner circle. But he is, an introvert. He's quiet. He's
off the court. He's pretty boring. On the court, he's excited, but off the court, it's like
I think he is willing to like talk to media and do interviews, and he's always really gracious with that. So maybe that's why he's just out there more. But I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, some burrito abuser in the chat brings up that Malik Monk will talk some stuff.
Yeah,
I can't read the whole thing, but yeah, I mean, there are players like Malik Monk that like there isn't a place for a Malik Monk to become wildly popular league wide because he is, that type of personality that we're talking about. But I think there's also like there's not enough of those guys right now that are out there that are part of like this like the brashness that we've seen. So I don't know. Like the league has to figure themselves out, like what's next for them. And we live in a different culture right now where a lot of young people are quiet. There are introverts. They do play a lot of video games. They do. There is a lot less socializing, and so finding these personalities and getting them to like develop that personality and be able to exude that in an interview form or on the court. Sure. So you're entertaining isn't easy.
King's first half awards and superlatives coming up, and then we have not even gotten to the NBA game that happened last night.
Oh,
LaMelo cooked Luka Doncic, and the Hornets beat the Lakers. What does that mean for the Kings? We'll tell you next. We're the Insiders. That's James. I'm Kyle. Jesse Tapia is rocking with us today. Sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
We're all good, Kyle.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Jonathan, give it a second, man. They're going to get to it.
Yeah, we will. That's been on the docket to talk about Luka, and specifically the Lakers game last night, since it was the only one on the slate. Let's see. Mark Williams, 10-9. The Mark Williams thing is going to always be weird. I will honestly say, I forgot. This is twice this season I can say the same thing, that Seth Curry was still in the NBA. And Daquan Jeffries actually getting minutes. The great Daquan Jeffries. Ooh. Wow, Luka was just flat out bad. Holy cow. 14 points. He had 11 rebounds and 8 assists, but 6 turnovers, 5 of 18 from the field, including 1 of 9 from 3. Eesh, 5 personal fouls. That is not a well-constructed team. Alex Len +8. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Jared Vanderbilt's back playing.
He stinks.
Yeah, Devin Carter got recalled from the G League. I don't know if that means anything though. Especially since the Kings are practicing. That's what that means. They need bodies. Best field goal percentage, according to Stat Defender, best field goal percentage in the fourth quarter for the 2024-25 NBA regular season, minimum 100 field goal attempts. Sabonis leads the league at 67.3. Jeez. 67.3%. Wow. Sabonis, he's first in clutch net rating amongst 93 players, minimum 15 clutch games.
Clutch player of the year? He has DeMar DeRozan to thank for that.
Yeah. They're just listing all the things that Sabonis is first in. It's a lot of things.
Love that bit.
I think he's a good player.
Yeah,
just saying.
Decent player.
All right, we're back.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
That's James. I'm Kyle. Jesse Tapia is rocking with us today. We're hanging out with you till noon. The handoff with one of D-KC coming up in about 20 minutes. The Lakers and Hornets opened up the second half of the NBA season last night. And the Hornets won.
Yeah, not a good.
Tough scene for the Lakers. 100-97 was your final score there. They led by 11 at halftime and then got outscored by 14 in the third quarter. They lost the third quarter 32-18.
That's not good.
And they ended up losing by 3. Yikes. Man.
Yeah, they're going to have a little bit of transition issues here as they try to figure out the Luka Doncic, LeBron James tandem. And again, the Mark Williams thing, like that trade getting rescinded. We had more news on that today, Kyle, where like his agent and a lot of other people are coming out and saying that there's no way he failed his physical, that they said Mark Williams came out and said, like, he had no idea he had failed his physical with the Lakers. He went through the physical process, did everything fine, and then
he played
walked
last
out.
night.
Yeah, he played against them, but like this whole weird story about this, I will tell you, like I've heard multiple people like in NBA circles say, hey, like Mark Williams can't practice like most of the time. His back is bad. He can't play a ton of minutes. He can't play, and he misses a lot of games. And you're about to have to pay him. And so it made sense that they would trade him because they were worried about paying a player that they couldn't rely on and were worried about his long-term health. And so for a player like that to fail a physical, okay, it doesn't shock me. It's just like the repercussions afterwards, or like the way it's playing out afterwards, where like agents coming out and like saying like multiple medical doctors have said like there's no reason for him to fail a physical. And so, I mean, that's his agent trying to cover for a young player, but this is a mess. And I think the Lakers would be a much better team if they had Mark Williams. Although, like, I don't know that I'd want to invest heavily in somebody that's, 22, 23 years old with back problems too.
Alex Len played 10 minutes for them last night for the Lakers.
Yeah.
He grabbed 1 rebound, no points. Ran a +8 though. He's
no shot.
They're a +8 in his 10 minutes.
That's wild.
But then you go look and Jared Vanderbilt is supposed to be a good defender, was a -17 last night.
Oof.
Dalton in 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Dalton Connect plays 13 minutes. Gabe Vincent playing 20 minutes. You got Dorian Finney-Smith playing 28 minutes off the bench. The LeBron and Luka thing is obviously a remarkable duo of top end players. But Luka is really struggling shooting the ball right now. He went 1 for 9 from 3 last night. Did have 11 boards and 8 assists, but he only scored 14 points.
I just don't know. 6 times.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna get enough stops to win games. Like Miles Bridges had 29, LaMelo Ball had 27 for Charlotte last night. You mentioned Mark Williams, he had 10 and 9. Nick Smith Jr. had 12 points. Seth Curry had 10 off the bench. I think that's going to be a problem for the Lakers moving forward. Is I just don't know. Like we talk about the Kings issues defensively. I think the Lakers, maybe not to the same extent, but are going to have similar issues down the stretch here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're right. If you look at like Rui Hachimura, like why is Rui Hachimura starting over Dorian Finney-Smith? If I've got Luka Doncic in the game, I know he's not a good defender. I need as many defenders on the court as possible. And so that's one move that I could see them, sort of trying out. It might, anger Rui Hachimura. But it's something that like you can see where that might be a spot where he would be a productive second team guy. He would have a lot more shots with the second team. I think you're going to have a tough time with the backcourt of Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. Like Austin Reeves as a plus defender thing, I've never bought. And I've watched teams cook him repeatedly throughout his career. And so I'm always like, hey, why, you've got to figure out ways to like build a team around Luka. And you got to find ways to build a team around LeBron. And I don't know that those two things can happen at the same time. So we're going to see like a weird, clunky thing that could somehow make it to the second or third round of the playoffs in a weird way because they do have so much talent. It could. I mean, they have so much talent, though, between just those two players that they could. You could see LeBron willing them through a playoff series. And you could see Luka carrying him through a playoff series. It's just whether or not that they can actually blend together and make something special that, could compete for a championship, which I don't see in year 1 or year 2. And by that point, how much longer is LeBron going to play?
I'm trying to find a good clip to play for you guys of LaMelo Ball getting isolated against Luka Doncic at the top of the key. Did you see this play?
No.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to watch this. I'm hoping this works. I did not get to pre-screen this highlight beforehand, so I'm going to mute it and hope that it is not. Okay, we're good. All right, very good. Let me share this. This is Jesse. I should have sent this to you. This is my bad. I'm just so used to having to do this all just me and James.
Produce on the fly. Yeah, it's fine.
Here we go. Okay, LaMelo had Luka on skates. Okay, there we go. There's that. And then because this is not, and let me be clear, when I show this is not a matter of like, oh man, Luka Doncic actually stinks. It's just a really good, like, glaring example of, there we go. We can pull that up.
Of Luka Doncic stinking.
Being bad at defense. Okay, are we good to go? No, why did that happen? There we go. Okay, here we go. I don't know why this keeps doing that.
Okay. Let's see if Kyle can get this thing working.
Nope, I can't. That's fine. We tried. We had a good time with it. Luka got cooked by LaMelo Ball, and it was just a perfect, like, one play encapsulation of, and this is not to say that the Mavs did the right thing. They didn't. They did the wrong thing here. They should not have traded Luka Doncic. There's no world where I think the worlds where they wind up being vindicated in that are very, very few. But when you started talking about and you started hearing about concerns for the Lakers within this season specifically, it's like that one play where it's just LaMelo, Luka isolated top of the key, and Luka just has nothing for him. He was trying, like the effort was there, which is, I guess, good. But LaMelo takes one step to his left, and Luka just full jumps to that side, and LaMelo cooks him, gets to the rim, and scores. I think that's going to be a real problem for LA this year.
I mean,
And
it was
you're
a
right.
real
Maybe
problem for Dallas in the playoffs. Like, they got to the finals, and the Celtics just kept switching on to Luka. They kept getting the ball. Whoever Luka was defending, they kept switching it on to that player, and he would cook them. He would get cooked. And like, it's really tough when you have a player. And that's where, like, when we talk about the Kings and how this, like, Zach LaVine can actually stay in front of a player.
Yes.
Like, on ball, like, he's a better defender than Luka. It's off ball, getting lost, getting, the switching defense, the guys back cutting him, and just like the basketball, the defensive acumen overall isn't great. And it's tough to have a good defense when, you have a player who, again, when he's on, it's a lot of players in the league are like this. I think for me, the biggest example was always Tyreek Evans. When Tyreek Evans had the ball, he's incredible. Anytime he didn't have the ball, I had an assistant describe it as he looked like he was waiting for a bus. Like, he's just standing there, like, hand on hip. You're like, hey, bro, like, what are you doing?
You need to be involved in the offense here.
Yeah, like, keep moving. Like, what are you doing? And then on the defensive side of the ball, it was the same thing. Like, if he was like locked up with somebody, he's incredible. Long arms, like, incredible lateral quickness, super strong physical player. The second it got switched to another player, it was like, oh, now he's ball watching. Now he's again waiting for a bus. And you're like looking that way. Where's the bus at? Where's the bus at? Boom, guy hits you on the back cut and you're toast.
Yep.
And there are a lot of players that are like that in the league. And there's no way, like, at this point, 11 years into a career, to try to get Zach LaVine to, like, become a great defender. But what you can do is you can try to hide and try to mask some of these issues by, like, figuring out defensive sets that actually play to his strengths. And, like, we'll have to see. That's where this whole thing in the second half of the season is going to be about coaching and about trying to get guys to buy in.
I guess, man. The problem is it's not just Zach LaVine. It's like Malik Monk's not an awesome defender. DeMar DeRozan's not an awesome defender. Domantas Sabonis, not a great rim protector in the paint. Like, it's just there's so many flaws they have to try and hide that I don't know how you do it all at once.
No, I agree. And
that's why I have a really hard time being optimistic.
Yeah, whether they had like, I don't know if they had practice last night or not. Like, they're supposed to tell us if they do have practice. They're supposed to have media availability. They did not. So they do have practice today. And then not only that, but the Kings play on Friday. They don't play again until Monday. So they should have a Saturday and a Sunday practice, or at least a Saturday practice and a film session on Sunday, something like shoot around. Like they should have some time here where they should be able to work out some of the issues and get on the same page. But I think it's more about, like, fluidity, trying to learn how to play on a string together, communicating, that kind of stuff that you can fix early on, and then hope that, they just find chemistry on the court. And you won't know it until you roll the ball out and start playing. And
Sure.
and they, that's the only way for this team to get better at some of these things. We can talk about limitations of players, but they can get better. They can get better because they'll learn how to play to each other's strengths. And that's how you sort of mask some of the issues that players have. But they need practice time, they need game time, and unfortunately everything is, like, magnified when there's only 27 games left in the season and you're in a full sprint to the finish line and your schedule's tough. And that's why, we try not to be too negative, but, like, at the end of the day, I think both of us have been more on the negative side of what we're going to see unfold here in the final month of the season.
Yeah, that's where it stands for me right now. If they go win 6 in a row, I'll adjust my expectations accordingly. But right now they're pretty low. I've seen a few people jumping into the chat as the show has gone on here. And hello, welcome, appreciate you. And asking about if we've talked about Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, we talked about that top of the show. Obviously a scary situation for him health wise, and we're hoping that taking the rest of the season off, it allows him to get healthy and continue his meteoric trajectory to be one of the best NBA players of all time.
Yeah, so if
Wendy.
people out there missed it, Victor Wembanyama has a deep vein thrombosis. He has a blood clot in his shoulder. And so there is concern there, and they're going to shut him down. I was reading he had been a little lethargic, like lacked energy over the last few days. And when they got him back from the All-Star week, they felt the same thing during All-Star weekend. He was just kind of like he didn't have energy. And so when they went and checked him out when he got back to San Antonio, they quickly started to figure that something was wrong. And that's where they ended up finding the issue in his shoulder.
That's terrifying, man.
Yeah. So Joey in the chat says same thing Chris Bosh had with a question mark. We don't know yet. Chris Bosh actually ended up having a blood clotting disorder that happens. Like some people have blood clotting disorders, and they're higher risk for things like stroke or higher risk for blood clots and stuff like that. But you just don't know. It's way too early to know what's going on with Victor Wembanyama. We do know like what they'll do right now is they'll put him on blood thinners. They'll try to clear out the clot, get the thing to dissolve, and sort of, and they'll keep a close eye on it.
Yeah, fingers crossed he's okay. Other like small bit of news, just real quick. Want to keep the NFL in the conversation if we can. John Feliciano retired. Former Niners offensive lineman announced his retirement today. That's a thing that happened.
Yeah, 33 years old.
I don't have a lot on it.
His knee he just kept saying he tried to give it a go, and there's nothing he could do to get his knee to come back around.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough. I mean, the NFL.
So, like John Feliciano, it was like just an okay player, right?
A dude.
He's fine. If he was healthy, he might have competed for the starting right guard job with the Niners last year, because in 23 he ended up playing, I think, starting 7 games at the 2 guard spots and was pretty good. So maybe he would have been in the mix, but like not a great player. But in his retirement announcement, basically said, "I don't think I can make it through a whole season. I don't want to let my teammates down. Like that's the worst part. I don't want to do that again. But hey, Buffalo or San Francisco, if you need anybody in the playoffs, give me a call." Like, bro, you're John Feliciano. Relax. You're not Joe Burrow here, or
no.
Pick a good player. I don't know why I went with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, I mean, he's not Larry Allen, the greatest right guard of all time.
There you go.
Yeah,
shout out to Larry Allen. All right, R.I.P. Right? He passed.
So.
Yeah,
I
feel like that's the thing that happened during our show.
Definitely, it's very possible that it could have happened during the time that we June 2nd, 2024.
Yeah, man. And then the Kings today, you mentioned, are practicing. They have availability at 1 p.m. They're gonna save the world with this one practice. Everybody, watch out!
Like
solve all their problems.
Yeah, the league has like very strict regulations on when you can practice, when you can't. Coming out of the break, you're allowed. You have to give everybody who participated in All-Star Weekend like an extra day to return to teams. But the other players, they can't come. They can't have official practices until team sanctioned things until I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. So like there's a point where everyone has to come back in the building, and you have to like check in, and then they can't hold official practices until one specific day, which I think was yesterday. I think that they should have been able to practice yesterday. And maybe they just had film session, maybe they just had like everybody get back in the gym and start shooting type thing, maybe some walkthroughs. But if they didn't have media, then it chances are it wasn't a full-fledged practice.
Do we think that's why the Hornets beat the Lakers? Because they didn't have anyone at All-Star Weekend and got more time to practice?
Oh, there it is. That's the excuse.
That's got to be it.
Even though LeBron sat out All-Star Weekend, even though he was there, but
the more I think about that, the more I think he did that in protest of having to play on Wednesday.
It's possible. But like, would you, like, it's always tough because would you rather have that game on Wednesday coming out of the All-Star break, or would you rather them stick it in the middle of a schedule down the road? Because like NBA schedules, especially down the stretch.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, would you rather them look at the NBA schedule for the month of March, which is already packed with games, and try to fit in an additional game there?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you have to make up the game no matter what. That's the league.
That's true. That's fair. All right.
So would you rather have it right there to open up and like realistically against a really bad team, you should use that as a scrimmage and you should have been able to beat that team, but they didn't.
Sure.
Would you rather have had it then or would you rather have it down the road? And it is what it is.
Kings got to watch out. They play the Hornets coming up on Monday.
I believe so. Yeah, Monday. They have Saturday, Sunday off where, again, they'll probably have a couple more days of practice.
The red hot Charlotte Hornets coming to Golden One Center. Watch out.
That's
everybody.
right.
All right. The handoff with one of D'Lo or Casey. I don't know which one it is. One of D'Lo or Casey. Maybe Jesse. I don't know. Is coming up next. We're the Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. That's James Hammond, Kyle Madsen, Jesse Tapia rocking with us on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Center.
Okay.
What's happening, everybody?
What doesn't make sense?
Who?
I don't know. Somebody said that what I said didn't even make sense.
I don't know. I didn't hear anything that you said.
Funny text. This doesn't make sense. Unless you mean from like a timing standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know what the Lakers' second half schedule looks like. I didn't think it was that easy. I had that pulled up yesterday. Let me see. There we go. Remaining strength of schedule. The Lakers actually have after last night's game, they actually passed the Phoenix Suns. They have the strongest strength of schedule remaining in their 29 games. They have the toughest schedule left on this of any team in the NBA.
They have a road trip where they have back-to-back games in Oklahoma City. Well, it's 3 nights apart, Sunday and Monday.
Okay.
Oof.
Kylan James, favorite A's pitcher of all time.
Probably Zito.
I think I have 3. I was a Hudson guy,
Okay.
but also Dave Stewart and Dennis Eckersley. I don't know how I put them in order. Probably Eck number 1.
I missed the Dave Stewart, Dennis Eckersley era. But yeah, I was a Zito guy for sure.
Yeah. Playing wiffle ball with my brother, I used to drop down and throw sidearm like Eckersley when we would go through lineups. A wicked pitch.
Yeah, dude. Love going sidearm with a wiffle ball. Yes, I am watching Severance. I don't know if James is.
I'm still trying to get through this first season.
I've never seen it.
It's
my wife and I decided
is it something I should start? I'm kind of looking for a show right now to start.
Did you finish American Primeval?
Yeah, that was sick.
Hell yeah. Great.
I'm a little disappointed at the end. It seemed a little too happy ending given times and all that. Like, oh, like we're all good now.
Yeah.
Is there a season 2?
No, Chris,
no, it's just one limited series.
I just got a text that Chris Biederman is watching the program. I'm not responding to you anymore, Chris.
You're dead to us, Chris.
Yeah, no, Zito was my first favorite player growing up.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think my first favorite A's player was Ricky. And then I was always strangely a Rod Carew fan. I don't know if you saw the Twins had him at spring training. And they did like a video with Rod Carew. It was absolutely incredible. He's there. It's like, I don't know, like an advisor. That dude could flat out hit.
Yeah, he could.
Oh, that's funny. Jim, people keep asking, could the Kings start Keon at point guard next season and play him 70+ games? I don't think they could do that. I don't. That's just me, though.
My other favorite A's player growing up was Mark Ellis.
Oh,
Salute
okay.
to Mark Ellis. Just a gangster, bro. Should have won a Gold Glove, but
Yeah.
Mark Grudzielanek won it because he had a better season at the plate.
Oh yeah, Grudzielanek wasn't. Yeah, that was stupid.
I was at the A's game the day Mark Ellis got traded. That was a tough one for your boy.
Oh,
That's a bad beat for me. Every A's fan was a big Jamal Weeks guy at some point.
Yeah, just never, ever,
Freaking loved Jamal Weeks.
never developed.
All right, come back.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, James Ham, Kyle Madsen, Jesse Tapia is hanging out with us, and now Kenny Caraway is here for the handoff. Hello, Kenny. How are you, man?
There we go. What's going on? What's going on? I'm here. That hat is awful, and you just choose to continue to wear it all the time. But whatever.
Can I tell you? I usually don't think about because I have so many. I have over 100 just fitted hats. That doesn't include my dad hat selection, which is this like unconstructed type of hat, right? Yeah. And I don't usually think. I just grab whichever one I think matches with what I'm wearing that day, and I just grab one. And then when I'm at home, I just grab whichever one is right in front of me. And I usually don't even think about it. But today I picked this one up and I put it on. And I was like, you know what? If Kenny's in for the handoff, this is going to derail the start of the handoff. He's going to say something for sure.
Yeah, because it's disrespectful. It really is. It's disrespectful.
Why? The national champions. Just representing a winner.
I'm sorry. Why didn't you wear Michigan when they were national champions just a year ago?
Good
I never saw no Michigan hat.
Why would I? Because nobody gave me a Michigan hat. Somebody gave me an Ohio State hat. You want to give me a Michigan hat? I'll wear a Michigan hat. Especially now. You know what? Hey, you know what? Given the deterioration of my relationship with Chris Biederman, hang on one second.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, somebody get me a Michigan hat, and I will wear it instead. Chris Biederman went to Ohio State.
You know, the ironic thing about this rivalry is red is like my favorite color.
Oh,
like in all seriousness, like
Pyro Kenny over here.
Color schemes, their uniform stuff, it is pretty fire. Like all that stuff is fire. And they're with Nike. Now Jordan, Michigan, that came back because we were Jordan brand. You know what I'm saying? Now we're back. We cooking again. But when they were with Adidas, oh, it was nasty for your boy. I didn't get no gear when they had Adidas. I wasn't doing that.
Yeah, that was gross. Somebody the other day was doing it. I think it was Steve Palazzolo from the 33rd team was doing a rewatch of the 98 draft and posted the highlight video that they played when Charles Woodson got picked. I've been workshopping this take for a while, and I think I'm convicted in the take, but I'm not 100% there yet. I'm at like 95%. I think Charles Woodson might have had the best football career ever.
Huh?
Football career ever.
You mean just college and pro?
Like there's other, like it's not, there's definitely like other people in the discussion for sure, but just the way he dominated at Michigan and how like uniquely of a like force he was as a defender, and then to go to the Raiders and be awesome, and then to go to the Packers and to win a Defensive Player of the Year at a completely different position that he got drafted at. He won a Super Bowl, won a Rose Bowl, won a Heisman, won a DPOY, national championship.
That's the one that gets me, because the first person I thought of that, and not for argument's sake, I was just trying to think, because I think he's on the short list. I think we're talking about like 5 to 3 players who could even talk about that. The first person I thought about was Peyton.
Ooh, okay.
That he has over Peyton, though, is the national championship. And I don't think Peyton won a Heisman either. Because the year he was that was Charles Woodson's year. That was Peyton, one of Peyton's big years. Did you ever see the 30 for 30 on that season? No. Charles Woodson's, it's fantastic. What they do is they just take, I think it's maybe it's a little bit more than ESPN, but they tell the story in clips, like video clips. There's no narrator. There's no interviews. They just tell the story of the 98.
Oh, that's sick.
And hey, here's this clip of college game day and what they had to say at the start of this. And that's it. It's great. It is really, really good.
That's so
Really,
sick.
really good. I gotta be careful on this show, but I got a bone to pick with both of you guys.
Uh-oh.
I was so upset.
Go
Well,
on.
yeah. Okay, I mean, I referenced it. I should be okay.
Play on.
I should be. Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right.
I was so perturbed. I even got in the chat. I don't think you guys saw me.
Oh,
I didn't.
Yeah, I got in
No.
the chat. You guys were talking about MVPs.
Why didn't
You
anyone
guys-
let me know? Go ahead.
Well,
Sorry. Go
it
on.
was one comment. It could have went under the radar. But you're talking about MVPs. We were talking about Jokic. Talking about SGA. And I asked the question. Giannis died. Huh?
Giannis is the 5th seed right now.
Giannis just retired and died. What is Denver? Denver's the 3rd seed.
3rd seed, yeah.
They're a
Okay.
half game back of the 2 seed.
Okay.
Giannis is awesome. Giannis is awesome as well.
But
Where
Giannis is
he
32,
odds-wise?
32, 12, and 6. And for two people that try to bench a Hall of Famer because he don't play defense, we now ignore Giannis as a top 5 defender in the game.
Can I real quick? I don't disagree. I think this is a fine take. Giannis is currently plus 12,500 to win the MVP.
And he's not going to win. Like he's not.
So he's not going to win. That's
that was an
so
argument I was going to make, but there was no mention of Giannis.
okay. That's fair.
there
That's a
never
fair
is.
critique. That's a good critique by you.
Yeah, but how long is Giannis out for?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because he's already missed
calf
12
strain, I
games.
guess.
He's already missed 12 games, and I don't know that he's going to be eligible. Like I seem to remember he was going to miss like 3 to 4 weeks or something, and so there's a possibility that he won't be eligible at all. Wait, I think there's a lot of players who won't be eligible.
Well, Sabonis might get the MVP.
Sabonis certainly.
Watch out, everyone.
He just keeps looking better and better and
Well,
better for all NBA.
hey, let's not rule out Norman Powell. All right.
That's right.
Everybody relax.
That's true.
Everybody relax.
Yeah.
Norman Powell's having a heck of a year. Salute.
No, that was it was a good discussion you guys had. I just thought about it, and it's not just you two. It's just any NBA conversation. Just Giannis just don't exist.
Well, we had the straw poll the other day. That you had it pulled up, right?
Yeah, he was
Tim
third in the
Bontemps
straw poll.
straw
I
poll.
saw Tim Bontemps over the weekend.
Oh,
I
did you?
talk to him. We just crossed paths.
You didn't say hi.
Just saw
No,
him.
I wish I
No.
would have. Like,
How was All-Star weekend?
I
yeah,
enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. I like it. It checks off all the boxes that I like. I like people watching. I'm cool with crowds. I like, being behind the scenes and stuff. So it checked off all the boxes. I said on Monday, for what I do with All-Star Weekend and how I go about it, it's great. It's perfect. I don't have no deadlines. I don't have no stories to write. I have none of that. If I was James Ham, I probably would have done the same thing as you. Like, I don't have to go, so I'm not going to go. It's
Sure.
but like the things that we have to do at All-Star Weekend are different. So I
yeah.
could understand a writer's aspect not wanting to do anything with it, but I'm just there for the vibe. So it's hella fun. Like I had a blast.
Yeah, I mean it's very unique, and I enjoyed my trips to All-Star Weekend. But if you don't have a player who's in it, and even if you do, it's such limited. Like you get so little like one-on-one time. Actually, you get no one-on-one time, and the time you do get is totally interrupted by people asking like ridiculously stupid questions typically. And so like it goes by really fast. It's kind of chaotic. I always enjoy the Hall of Fame aspect of it because that's where it's not just like who's a finalist is there, but on top of who's a finalist, like a lot of the Hall of Famers are actually there, and you can sit there and talk to them. I mean, getting to interview Hakeem or getting to interview Patrick Ewing, like incredible moments where you're like, oh, this is wild. I'm like standing here talking to legends. So that for me is like one of the bigger parts of it. But if you don't have a player represented and you are typically writing it, whether it's on deadline or whatever, like it just adds more to the day. And that if they're not going to be there, it's like, okay, it doesn't have a ton of value to me.
And I could imagine if you do have a player represented there, you're so focused on what they're doing, you don't get a chance to do the other stuff. Then All-Star, like you don't get to go to the Hennessy Arena because you've got to follow Isaac Jones and the cheerleading thing. Yeah, the Hennessy Arena was popping. They had that's where the WNBA players were at.
Oh, okay.
I didn't.
You're in VIP there, you said? That's crazy.
No, I did. I wasn't there.
Behind the velvet rope. That's wild.
In Alameda.
Oh, oh, yeah. No, that's my bad. You're at the Jordan event. You were running that one. That's right.
It was a pop.
What do you guys got coming up on D'Lo and Casey?
Man, can you win a championship with Luka Doncic?
Ooh, that's a good question. We're stealing that for tomorrow. Listen to D'Lo and KC talk about that, and then you'll hear James and I talk about that same thing tomorrow. We're all just trying to get to tomorrow where the Kings are playing. We're surviving. D'Lo and KC coming up next. Should be a ton of fun. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jesse Tapia, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're the Insiders. We're back tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Until then, drink water. Be nice to people. See ya!
All right, that's it.